Hey y'all, and welcome back, or if you're new around here, hello and welcome. My name is Katie Marie. Today we are going to be talking about a palette that I wish was real. It almost was, but it is not. And what I mean by that is the Urban Decay Cyber palette. Now if you didn't know, Urban Decay is releasing a cyber palette, Cyber Naked palette, or the Naked Cyber palette. I really can't remember what it's called. It doesn't really matter because this is what it looks like. And I don't know about you, but there's not much about it that screams cyber to me, and even taking the concept out of it, it just doesn't look that exciting. I think the palette is supposed to have more unique and shifty shadows, kind of jumping on the whole multi-chrome and duochrome that the indie makeup world has been on for a long time, and they're trying to jump on that and do it. So they're attempting it. But honestly, you know, the beautiful multi-chrome and dimensional shadows aside, the rest of the palette is pretty boring. There's not a whole lot in the way of mattes. And again, it's a cyber-inspired palette, and I really don't see very much cyber in here. I don't know. Whenever I think of cyber, I think of like, maybe it's just a 2000 cyber. I feel like it was all like dark black and green and purple, that kind of thing. Anyway, so Urban Decay came out with this. And if you're like me, you're like, oh my goodness, pass. But Doodles By the Bunny, now if you don't know her account, I'll have her linked down below, but she took it upon herself to show what a cyber-inspired palette should have been. So she created this beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous palette. Like, look at it. This is what I think of when I think of cyber. This comes to mind. So she created this palette, and when I first saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, that's beautiful. If Urban Decay had come out with that, we could be talking about being highly tempted to give it a try. So when I saw it, I was like, you know what? I haven't done a duping a fake palette in a very long time. If you haven't seen that playlist, I will leave it up here somewhere if you want to watch it. I dupe fake palettes that are often done by Doodles by the Bunny, but also I've done a few other ones. But anyway, I haven't done one in a long time. This palette looks gorgeous. Let's go ahead and dupe it out with my single shadows and bring this fake palette to life so we can all sit here and either wish it was real, or we can go digging through our single collection like I did and find the colors in our own collection. So I did that today. Here is what my palette looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and scoot over so I can put her picture here and then my little palette down here so you guys can see. I got relatively close on most of these except the pinks and purples. Yeah, I am weak when it comes to pinks and purples in my single eyeshadow palette collection, but I got the greens and the blues pretty easily, or at least close enough for me to be happy with. So yeah, this is my palette and I cannot wait to dive into it and share with you guys which eyeshadows I'm using in this. And then also, per usual, I created a look, the look that I have on today, and I will do a little sped up tutorial of it towards the end of the video if you guys want to see which of the shadows I used, how they worked on my eyes, and just to see how I created this look, because I think this is super fun eye look and unique color story and all that, and it's just, I really did enjoy how it turned out. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, hang tight, we'll do the intro and then we'll get right into it. Okay, so I'm going to scoot over, that way I can put the palette that I'm going to be duping and bring into life with my singles up here, and you guys can see it as I swatch it out on my arm. But yeah, here's another look at the palette. I'll go ahead and hold it here and come in close so you guys can get a really good look at it compared to the other palette. Again, like I said, I feel like besides the pink and the purple, those are both pretty weak in my opinion. I got it pretty close, or at least close enough for me to feel like I was pretty dead on. I will say the first time, a couple times I saw this palette, I didn't realize Bunny had put so many shimmers and not so many mattes. So that's definitely something I probably, like, if I was creating my perfect cyber palette, I would have had a few more of those, colorful shimmers, maybe be colorful mattes. That could be fun, or maybe some of these green shimmers be mattes instead of shimmers, but I tried to keep as true to her palette as I could. So let's go ahead and go through the palette. I'm going to tell you guys what single shadow I use, and then we'll swatch it out so you guys can see it swatched out on camera compared to the fake palette that we are duping. So, or yeah, the fake palette that we're duping, the one we wished Urban Decay was bringing out instead of that. Anyway. Alright, first step is going to be that really light shade up there, and it looked like it looked very white. It did look shimmer in my opinion, but it looked like it had a green shift to it. So immediately I thought of the Emme Cosmetics highlighter in Firefly. This is such a beautiful shifting, like, it's a gorgeous, really white highlighter, but it has a touch of green anytime you shift it around. I love wearing it as a face highlight, as an inner corner highlight. It is such a beautiful, beautiful, very highlighty and shifting shadow. I absolutely love it. So any excuse I get to use this in a duping a fake palette, I'm all about it. Alright, so I'm going to just swatch it over here. Such a beautiful shadow. I feel like this is going to be one, it's going to be hard to catch on camera. It might just look like a white shimmer, but there is a gorgeous, really bright green shift, like a green gold shift, honestly. It's so very pretty. It is absolutely stunning. Next up is going to be that really bright shimmery blue, high tech, and for this one I swatched a couple different lighter blues, but the one that I settled on that I felt like was really close to what I see in the pan there is from Coastal Scents, and it's called Azure Frost right here. Kind of sad, I just remembered that Coastal Scents is no more. But here we go, swatching it out. I mean, that is a pretty shimmer. I think the biggest reason I don't love or didn't love Coastal Scents shimmers is because it's a very subtle type of sheen when it's on your eye, or it's a very soft type of shimmer. It's not metallic. It's a very pretty, you know, standard shimmer, and it's got a nice brightness to it, which I do like. All right, next up is going to be Network, and this one was really tricky, especially because right below it I feel like they're very similar, the two green shimmers there. One's just a little bit more like of a grungy green, the other one's more of a, you know, gray green. But anyway, I settled on the Sydney Grace Sunken Treasure for this first one here, and it has that grungy green to it that I felt like I could see in the palette, so that's the one I chose. I feel like it might be a little too grungy, but hey, when it comes to, you know, green eyeshadows, I don't mind extra grunge. Like I said, I feel like the two greens were a little bit tricky because they're so close yet different, but I feel like this one was a good one to choose for this Network shadow. All right, next up we have Virtual. Now I will say Virtual looks like it should be a shimmer, but I went ahead and just decided to make it a matte. And it's the Terra Moon Cosmetics Neverland eyeshadow. I think this was one of their neon. I can't remember. I think this might be the old formula. They have a newer formula out. This is definitely more neon than I think the palette intended it to be, but it's the best one I had when it came to my matte selection, so I decided to go for it. And I feel like a neon green is very fitting in a cyber palette. I don't know if that's just me, but I think it just goes so well, and that's what I chose, so that's what we're going with. Next up is going to be Antivirus, and for this one, I decided to settle on the shimmer from Shroud Cosmetics in the It's Freaking Bads palette. It is the handbook shadow, or the handbook shade from the palette. I popped it out. I don't know if you can get this as a single, but it's the one I decided to pick. I do feel like the Antivirus is more of like a Christmas green with grunge to it, but I was swatching through more of my brighter Christmassy greens and nothing was really hitting. I'm working with what I have, and I felt like it went with the palette as a whole, but I do feel like it could have more of a bright green to it. But it is nice and bright, just like that shadow, you know, shows it to be, but there's definitely a brightness to it that I couldn't quite find in my collection. So anyway, that's what I settled on. Then next is going to be that matte pink, which is called Login, and for that I chose the Give Me Glow Sweetener. Now this is the pastel from last year's bundle. They have come out with it in a palette, but this is from the previous year's bundle. I just felt like this one was really fitting, though you could use either or. But this one hits so close. I feel like it's a dead-on match to what I see in the pan. So I was really happy about that. Look at that. It's so beautiful. After that, it's going to be Go Fish. For that, I did the Give Me Glow Lemon Lime Shadow. I love this. This is, I think, my most vibrant, intense, like lime green shimmer. I really do like it. I definitely think in this palette, it's more of a bright green instead of such a light lime green. But when we're talking about intensity and really popping, this was the best and closest thing I had. So, oh, so pretty. I use this in my look today. I love any time I get to use this shadow. It's so beautiful. Next up is going to be that hot pink shimmer, and I think I've said this before in a recent video when I did one of these. I don't have a hot pink shimmer, so I settled for this Terra Moon Cosmetics Fuzzy Flamingo. I really need to get a hot pink shimmer, like a good hot pink shimmer like you see in the Urban Decay palette. If you know of a good indie brand who has it, let me know, because I really want to add it to my collection. That's a fun hot pink. Anyway, it's really pretty, not saying that this shadow isn't, but it definitely isn't like that hot pink that I see in the Urban Decay Cyber palette that I'm trying to dupe. It's a strawberry color, but oh well. Next after that is going to be Digital. This is that grungy gray, but it had a bit of green in it anytime I looked at it, and I kind of like zoomed out and I was looking at it. I know, I'm always leaning towards the greens, but what can you say? I did the Dirty Martini from, I think this is NBA, yeah, NBA Cosmetics. I felt like this was a good grungy green, but it had a lot of like heavy grayness to it, and I just felt like it matched and went with the whole palette. And swatching it out, I feel like it definitely picks up more of that gray look to it. This is definitely a very soft type of shimmer from NBA Cosmetics, very soft, but I feel like that goes with it, and it's pretty close to what I saw in the pan there. Alright, next up, this is another one that I got as close as I could, but this is called Hacking, and it's that really dark purple, but a very vibrant purple. I don't have a color quite like that. I have a color I think is the right tone, which this is from Coastal Scents Magenta. I feel like this is the right tone, but the depth that is in the Urban Decay palette is just so much more intense than this. But this is the closest I had. This is what I used for the video because, again, kind of like with the pinks. I have more purples than I do pinks in my single eyeshadow palette collection, or single eyeshadow collection, not palette. But still, I don't have that many purples. All right, next up we have that online, that really deep Christmas green. Like this makes me think of Christmas, but so deep it's almost black. And for that, I picked from Menagerie Cosmetics the Whale Song palette. I forgot to write the name. I chose this shadow from the Whale Song palette. Anytime I see a really dark green, I think of that palette and I go there first. And this definitely gives me the depth that I see in this palette, but I definitely think that there's a little bit more richness and kind of Christmassy green to it than this shadow gives. But I mean, that's really nitpicking it because I feel like at the end of the day, this is a pretty darn deep green that gives me what I want in a look when I'm putting it together with this palette. And last up we have Cyberspace, which is a black, and I only have 2 or 3 blacks. And for this one, I decided to use the NBA Cosmetics Blackjack. And so here it is swatched out. Definitely a shadow that I have to build up, but I can get it there. So I just build it up and pack it on and it gets me to that black that I like. So there we go. This is the completed palette, the Urban Decay Cyber palette that Doodles by the Bunny created. Can you imagine if Urban Decay came out with anything close to this color story? Like, that would be a lot of fun. Even toned down, this color story is fun because it has that mix of greens and pinks and a pop of blue and whatnot. It still has those neutral tones in it. I don't know, I think this is just such a pretty palette. So when I saw Doodles by the Bunny create this, I was like, I really want to bring that to life and see what kind of eye look I would get with that color story because it's so very fun. So now that we have swatched it out, it's time to go ahead and transition over to the tutorial portion of this video. Now for this video, I'm just going to be doing a sped through tutorial. It's not going to be anything talking. I'm going to put some relaxing or nice and cheery music behind it, and I'll just speed it up so you guys can see me use these shadows on my eyes to create this look, and you guys can see what I put where and how the shadows built up and whatnot, and you know, maybe get some inspiration for what you could do with this type of palette. So let's go ahead and transition over to that, and then we'll meet back here for final thoughts on this beautiful palette and the outro. Alright, so you have to tell me what you think of the eye look. I feel like it's a very fun and different type of eye look. It's very unique. I feel like it would have popped and just went together so much more if I had had a hot pink shimmer pink to put it on the lid instead of the more like watermelon pink. I feel like that makes it, I'm not mad at it. Like, I do think it's fun and interesting and different. I think it's very pretty and it went together fine. I'm really happy with the look, but I feel like it would have popped a little bit more and been a little bit more cohesive as a look if I had had a hot pink shimmer on the lid with this green and the purple on the outside. Oof, it just would have been so pretty. So that's the only thing I wish would have been different, but as it is, I think it's a very pretty eye look. I've really been enjoying it today, and yeah, it was fun to create with this Urban Decay Cyber palette that Doodles by the Bunny created. So yeah, that is going to do it for bringing this fake palette to life. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think about this palette, this eye look, what have you, this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know that down below in the comments, and if you ever see a palette that you would like to see me bring to life in this type of video, always feel free to either tag me or send it to my DMs on Instagram. That's kind of where I keep track of the palettes that I'm going to dupe later. I have a whole folder. One day I hope to get through, but I'm like way behind because there's just so many pretty fake palettes that I see, pretty concept palettes that I want to bring to life. So if you ever have a special request, feel free to DM me, and I try to put those closer to the top so that I can do it, because if you guys want to see it, I try to make that happen if I am able to. But yeah, it was really fun to bring this palette to life, and it's been a while since I've done one of these, so it was really nice to be able to sit down and go through my singles and put this together, and it's just so pretty to swatch out. I don't want to like take it off. It's so very beautiful, but I have to. I'm already starting to get my my sleeve dirty from it. So anyway, with all that said, thank you guys so very much for watching. Per usual, if you want to continue getting daily content from me, I'm over on Instagram. I'm LadyKD92. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, as it helps me in the whole YouTube algorithm. And with all that said, I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye guys.